Haven't seen them in years.
Are they stopping at the Bronx Zoo?
Yes, Herb, permanently. Well, isn't it a shame what the housing shortage is doing? Herbert, platypuses aren't people.
No, well, what are they, Ed?
Well, now you listen, my lad, and you'll hear of how the platypuses came over here. For here's the couple who brought them to this clime. Meet them now at anniversary time. I am very pleased to introduce Mr. and Mrs. David Fleay of Victoria, Australia. They've been married 15 years, have 4 youngsters. Mr. Fleay is 40, a tall, handsome gentleman whose official title is the director of the Sir Colin Mackenzie Sanctuary for Native Fauna. His life partner and fellow zoologist is a charming lady of 37, very busy, but still finds time to be a good wife, an excellent mother, and a hunter of platypuses. Here they are, Mr. and Mrs. David Fleay. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Fleay. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Herlihy.
I'm glad to see Herlihy.
Is it?
Yeah, well, it was. Well, I think it was when I came. We won't start that Mrs. Fleay the day before yesterday. Herb bet me that nobody could spell my name, and you should have heard what happened.
Well, how do you spell it?
Oh, all right. Herlihy. Herlihy. Call me Ed, will you? It's easy. I should have.
Oh, very well.
All right. What do you think of New York, Mrs. Fleay, outside of Herlihy?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I was here in 1931 for a brief time, but my husband hasn't been here before.
Your first visit, Mr. Fleay?
Yes, my first visit here.
And what did you think of New York before you came?
Well, I was given to understand it was a very busy place, as you're liable to be trampled underfoot.
That's the truth, you know.
Well, we have found that people are very courteous here, and far from being trampled underfoot, the people don't move so fast as they do in Sydney or, say, Melbourne.
Is that... What part of New York you've been traveling in, Mr. Fleay? Have you met our subways yet?
Yes, I've met subways.
You know, I am sure that all of our friends listening in, and yours too, would like to hear about your home in Australia, Mr. Fleay.
Well, we live in a dense area of bush country, what you call woods, I think, in this country.
Yes.
And we have about 400 acres of tall timber with a river running through it. And there we keep all manner of Australian animals, koala bears, platypuses, lyrebirds, and even snakes.
And kangaroos?
Kangaroos, yes.
What's the difference between a kangaroo and a wallaby?
Well, you might say that there's the same difference there is between a horse and a Shetland pony. The wallaby is the small one.
Oh, I see. And where do you live in Australia?
Healesville, near Melbourne.
And
45 miles
what's
from
the name
Melbourne.
of your place?
Our home or the sanctuary?
Oh, the name of the home is Piccadilly Cottage, because it's on the Piccadilly Creek.
A little river, is it?
Yes, a little brook.
Is it a good place to bring up youngsters, Mrs. Fleay?
Oh, marvelous, yes. We have our own cow, and the children have all sorts of pets. They keep goats and a pet lamb, and calves, and flying squirrels, rabbits, rats, mice, white rats, you know.
Oh.
And caterpillars and tadpoles in the season.
Your guests must have a wonderful time when they come to visit. They could be surprised, are you thinking?
Or bittens,
I understand that Mr. Fleay is a falconer, is that so?
Yes, he's very interested in falconry.
That's a lost art in this part of the world.
Well,
Oh, no, they're reviving it, I think.
It isn't really a lost art because in this country you have a number of keen falconers. And keen falconers, yes, men who follow the sport.
Oh, I see, yes.
Train goshawks and also
would you explain briefly what a falconer is? What he does?
Well, a falconer is a man who trains hawks, carries them on his wrist, and goes out hunting rabbits and sometimes game birds. It's the old-time sport that was so common before the shotgun was invented.
I see. The hawk catches the
hawk
prey,
does
right?
the work of a gun.
I see. It must be fascinating. Tell us about those platypuses. Well, that's what we really want to hear about. Exactly what is a platypus?
Well, a platypus is the most one of the most primitive furred animals known. It's a living fossil. It has a duck's bill, the fur of a seal. Mm-hmm. It has a tail very like that of a beaver. It lays eggs. The male has poison spurs on his hind feet. And the animal is only living in southeastern Australia and Tasmania.
What sort of sound does it make?
It growls very like the growl you get from a clucky hen. Or clucky chicken, I think you call it in this country.
Yeah. Is it gentle, or can it hurt you at all?
It can with its spurs.
Spurs?
Yes, the spurs on the hind feet.
Are they poisonous?
They are poisonous, yes.
What do they eat?
Well, they eat earthworms and grubs and a freshwater crustacean known as a yabby. They eat about 800 worms each every night. That's the big difficulty in keeping them.
Interesting diet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds delicious. Are they temperamental at all?
Oh, extremely temperamental. That's the big difficulty in keeping them not only in Australia but anywhere else. Oh, we had a tremendous lot of trouble.
I think the folks would be interested in hearing about that steam whistle on the boat. What?
Yes, the captain of the boat was very cooperative and very helpful, and we found that the siren of the boat upset the animals quite a bit. So we had to get him to tone it down, and whenever the siren was used for boat drill or during fog, it was used at about half tone.
Is that so?
So,
Well, what would
yes.
happen to the platypus if he didn't like the sound?
Oh, well, they'd simply become frantic, come out, swim around, and possibly simply pass out, die.
Is that so? They
Once
really
they
are?
start to fret, they go down the hill fast.
They really hold a grudge, don't they? They'll die first rather than give in.
Yes.
Well, would they make nice pets, Mrs. Fleay, do you think?
Well, I don't think so. It would be rather difficult to keep them. You'd have to keep them in a bathtub of water and supply them with thousands of worms every week. You just couldn't manage them.
Say, Ed, I'd like to
I've
ask
got
you
a
a question.
question.
Yeah, it's very important to me, too. What is the real name of the platypus?
Ornithorhynchus anatinus. It used to be known as Ornithorhynchus paradoxus.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, it means an animal with a duck's bill, like a bird, with a bill like a bird.
Platypus itself means...
Platypus itself, yes, is an old name, which is originally a scientific name, but now is the common name, vernacular name.
Does it have anything to do with their feet?
It means flat foot.
Oh, flat foot. That's what I was thinking about, you know. Yeah, no, seriously. We've had them over here for years.
Have you?
Yes.
Not
We call
this
them
guy.
policemen.
Patrolman platypus. Well, tell us about the platypuses that you brought to the Bronx Zoo, Mr. Fleay.
Well, there are 3 of them that we brought over. Only one has previously ever been transplanted from Australia. That was to the same Bronx Zoo in 1922.
And what are their names?
These are Betty, Penelope, and Cecil. I believe you call it Cecil.
See, Penelope Platypus, what a beautiful name. You say that you had to bring the worms in for them, is that so?
Oh, yes, we had to bring the food with them. We had to bring about, I think, 500,000 worms with us. Some were frozen, some were carried alive in boxes of earth.
You mean you put them on ice?
Yes.
Sort
And
of
the
a
ship-
platypus
cooler.
baked Alaska, I thought.
Yes, looked like, worms in aspic.
Worms in aspic. That's wonderful. Now that you've caught your platypuses, what are you going to look for next, Mrs. Fleay?
Well, we want to see a bit of America on the way home after the platypuses are settled down, and we did very much want to see and hear Spike Jones and his orchestra.
Oh, well, you're going to hear about that in just a moment. We have
Yes,
special...
I believe.
Wonderful. But are you looking for any more animals?
Oh, when we were
No.
approached by the New York Zoological Society about 12 months ago, we were engaged in a hunt for the marsupial wolf in Tasmania. The rarest of our animals.
Oh, really?
That's a wolf with a pouch in which it carries 4 young ones.
Well, we have a very interesting wolf here in New York. One of the prettiest ones, named Sheldon. I've got captivity for some time. You want to take it back to Australia, will you? Oh. Welcome. Well, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Fleay, we're delighted to have had you with us this morning, and we do thank you for coming. And we're most interested in hearing your story about the platypuses. And I know you're going to be interested in hearing about Spike Jones, one of his finest musicians, in just a moment. We'd like you to be our dinner guest tonight at the headquarters restaurant here on 49th Street in Manhattan. Johnny, your host, has a reservation waiting for you, and you'll have a wonderful dinner. I do hope that you have a wonderful time for the rest of your visit here.
Thank you very much. You've been too kind to us.
Not at all. You've been very kind to join. Happy honeymooning. And now, lend an ear, you listeners who don't believe that there's romance in a bass fiddle. You're going to be surprised now.